Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Culture 316. I'm Jordan Nahisi. My co-host Mo is probably napping right now, but it's okay because we are doing a special edition Culture Connected episode. If you tuned into the last show, you would have known that Culture Connection is a program that we have started, a segment that we've started because we at Culture 316 love connecting with our community, love connecting with our folks. If you've been in the spaces, you know these gentlemen that are in this show. And so we're really, really excited to connect with them. Before I ask you guys to introduce yourselves, I want to encourage all of the people that are watching or listening. First of all, thank you for supporting us. It means the absolute world to us. Second of all, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, be sure to rate the show 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But without further ado, I want these gentlemen to introduce themselves. I'm gonna start with Xavier. Xavier, introduce yourself. Tell them where you from. Tell them what's up.
I'm Xavier. I'm from California, but I currently reside in Texas. I'm currently a college student studying history. So
Hey,
I'm going to be a middle school or high school teacher coming up soon. So it's exciting. And
that's
I'm
what's up.
and I'm an avid wrestling fan. I watch every promotion. So yeah.
That's what's up. Who's next? Who's stepping up? Who's gonna introduce himself next?
Go first. Name's TJ. Graduate at South Carolina State University, and I do a little bit of photography here and there too.
Hey,
So
shooters.
yeah, that's right. And I've been a lifelong WWE fan and AEW fan as well.
Mm. Who's next? Who's next?
Well, my name is Baraka. From Atlanta, Georgia. I'm currently a college student, majoring in civil engineering. Been a WWE fan since I was a kid. Kind of fell out of it, but slowly getting back into it since 2018.
Nice.
So yeah, just glad to be part of the show.
Tough. Tough. Once again, thank y'all so much for being a part of this. We value y'all so much, and I'm so glad that we're able to do this show. We're gonna get right into it because there's a lot to unpack from this past Saturday, WWE Summerslam, live from Detroit. I wanted to know your takes on the show. What were some of the biggest winners? What were some of the biggest losers of the show? Now, here's what I am going to do, right? I am going to do a little timer, right? And each of y'all are going to have 3 minutes. You're going to rate the show from 1 to 10, all right? You're going to tell me what was the best part of the show, and you're going to tell me what the worst part of the show was. All right? So who's gonna go first?
I'll go first.
TJ go first. All right, you're on the clock in 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, first I want to say that the show I give it a 8 out of 10, and I say that only because the last 2 matches brought the excitement back up for me. The SmackDown Women's Championship match and the Tribal Combat match. And I would say to me, the best thing that happened was LA Knight winning, because I'm a huge LA Knight fan.
Yeah.
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 Also, too, I really enjoyed the Slim Jim commercial, too, afterwards with LA Knight and Bianca Belair. And I love that they put the Macho Man in it, too, because that was just awesome to see. And I think, like, the worst thing that happened probably was the ending of how it happened. I didn't like that. And also, Brock Lesnar's shorts like exploding. I don't know how that happened. But other than that, I thought it was a good show. It flew by fast to me. And the only like downer was the Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler match, because that was like my bathroom break match. But other than that, it was a good show.
Say less. That's time. That was in 1 minute and 17 seconds. That's tough. Who's next? I want to see who's next. If you can beat that time, you can. But if not, it's totally fine.
Guess I'll go.
All right. So you're on the clock in 3, 2, 1.
So I think I'll overall give SummerSlam, the entire show, a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think
Mm.
from start to finish, I enjoyed it, even though with the limited bandwidth I had going in the middle of the lake I was in during the show in this space. I somehow managed, T-Mobile coming in clutch with a 5G every now and then. I think
Mm.
the best highlight for me, again, LA Knight winning the, winning it in the SummerSlam. Was it Slim Jim the Royale
The
Slam?
SummerSlam Slim
Okay,
Jim Battle
yeah,
Royal.
he needed that win. I think he has some crazy momentum ahead of him.
Mm.
I have faith in Hunter and Co. to and creative to do something with it. And so far with the Miz, there's potential there. I like what I see there. The lowest one for me was the ending of, again, the tribal combat. Being told what it is. 1 minute they say no interference, and the next thing you know, you have Jimmy slithering his way into it, and you just sit here is like, great, is cool, is great and all that, but it's not what I expected or what it was advertised. But all right, we'll see where this goes. Also, I think again the women's Shayna and Ronda's match, bathroom break. The only positive there was Ronda's out of here. That's probably the one positive. So yeah, but yeah, overall, women's match was good. Ricochet Logan was good. Can't really complain.
Solid. And that was a minute 44 seconds. That was good. That was good timing. That was good timing. Xavier, you're on the clock in three, two, one.
I would give the show an 8 out of 10.
Mm.
And I would say the highs are, LA Knight winning the Slim Jim Battle Royal and EO Sky cashing in the Money in the Bank. Um, and I think they have potential there to have some banger matchups going forward. And also, I would say the low is, the Ronda Rousey match with Shayna Baszler and the ending to tribal combat. Just because they said there's supposed to be no interference, and obviously there was, and it's just becoming repetitive as far as the way they lay out Roman Reigns matches. There's going to be some type of interference, and somebody is going to get involved, and I kind of knew the turn was coming, just by the way the storyline was playing out. But yeah,
Woo! That man did that in a minute and nine
He
seconds.
won.
That's tough. That
He
may
won
be
it.
that may be a record. That may be a record, but then again, I have to go. So I'm on the clock in three, two, one. So if I had to give this show out of a 10, I would say about a 7.5 for every reason previously mentioned. Show was energy was kind of down. It kind of got brought up with the last two matches. As far as my low points of the show, I'm gonna have to go with Ronda and Shayna. But I feel like the highlight of the show, hands down, was the SmackDown Women's Championship match into the Io Sky cash in. Number one, Bianca and her selling was A1 because I really thought something was wrong until she went back into that ring. And then Io cashing in at the end was the perfect way of getting Charlotte up out of there, presenting Bianca as dominant because she had to go through a triple threat match of an injury before she could lose the belt. So I think that that was the high point of the match. I wouldn't necessarily consider tribal combat to be the worst part of the show, but I do see why everybody is kind of empathizing on that because we're all trying to figure this out as far as where this storyline is going to go. But I'm excited and I'm eager about it. So there's that. And that, wow, I kid you not, a minute and 9 seconds.
Oh
So we're
wow.
tied. We're tied at a minute and 9 seconds. But man, SummerSlam was definitely an eventful show. I'm really, really happy that it turned out the way that it did. There were so many highlights. I love the whole LA Knight thing, but that's a different story for a different day because I have something to say about LA Knight. Yeah, but For those of you who are watching at home or listening at home, let us know how you feel about SummerSlam. Put that in the comments below. Let us know, DM us, holla at your boy. But anyway, we're gonna move on to the next topic. ISO boom. Hold on. Jesus. See, this is the reason why my note. Here we go. So, unfortunately, it was announced this past week. God bless you. Unfortunately, it was announced this past week that Sonya Deville has actually torn her MCL, I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken, MCL, ACL,
Yeah.
I
ACL?
think it's I think it's
Yes,
ACL.
ACL.
Yeah.
So let's start off by this. Sonya, we love you. We love who you are as a person, who you are as a character. We wish you nothing but the best. We hope that you heal up, get rested. Number one, for yourself as a person. Number two, as a performer, we're waiting for you and we're rooting for you. But this is kind of a recurring theme with the women's tag team championships. Something always happens. So now the question that I have is, are the women's tag team championships cursed? So I'm gonna start with Xavier. Xavier, are these titles cursed? Like, what's up? Like, talk to me.
I would say yes. Ever since the Naomi and Sasha walkout, I feel that they haven't been represented properly. And, there's been a lot of injuries in the women's division
Mm-hmm.
since then, and it's been playing those titles have been playing hot potato for the last couple of years. So um, I would say yes, they are cursed.
Who's
Um,
next? Who's next here on
so
this?
let's start this off. You have your at the time the tag team champions, so Sasha and Naomi, walk out the company as they were champions. You do some, have some sort of tournament, to crown the new women's tag. Um, Becky lost it, and then you had Becky lost it because Lita turned her back. Um, Raquel, I don't know if it's kayfabe or not. She's injured. Um, and I think Sonya now with the Sonya Deville situation, ACL. As a soccer player, I've never experienced it, but I have teammates that have suffered through it. Very painful. They come back, they're not the same as they once were. It's a very, very difficult injury to recover from. So to say that
Mm.
are these titles cursed, given the track record, it spooky hours for spooky hours for whoever is the crown the next champion because my God, no, nobody. I think no woman in the locker room was like, they're looking at us. Nah, I don't. You know what? We should stay away from that title. We should probably stay away.
I
TJ, what's up? Talk to
can I,
me.
can I add something?
Yes, go ahead.
I like how Chelsea Green is playing this situation up. I'm excited to see like where they go with it. Because she's been talking a lot on Twitter and you know glorifying the belts and saying that she's going to keep both of them. But we'll see what happens.
Mm.
Yeah, if I'm Katana or Casey, I'll be very worried about getting those
Hmm.
titles.
Hmm.
But I do think they are cursed, and not just that. I just think that they're not being treated properly either, or they're not even booked right.
Hmm.
Like even going back to the beginning with Sasha and Bailey, and about how they weren't being treated right as tag team champions. And then Sasha had her little hiatus for a while, and then all the way to Sasha and Naomi with that situation.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like that these titles are cursed, and if it was up to me, I would bury them forever and never come back.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. It wasn't Raquel. It was Liv. I remembered her shoulder injury. Yeah, it was Liv. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Liv. Yeah. Now, Mo's not here, so I'll represent on her behalf. I remember she or someone else in the group chat had mentioned that they should just kind of merge the tag titles to create a women's intercontinental title
Yeah,
or
they should do that.
U.S. title of some sort. I think this would be a great opportunity, considering not just the state of the women's tag team championships, but also the state of Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green's character work is superb, and I think that she makes for a great quote unquote mid card champion in WWE. If they decide to go a mid card championship route or secondary championship route, I believe that Chelsea Green will be the ideal candidate to be the first champion. So I think that they should definitely explore that option. Now, as it pertains to the women's tag team titles, let me start off by saying this. Y'all need to start listening to black women because Sasha and Naomi was trying to tell y'all when they walked out and nobody listened. And yet here we are. Uh here we are almost pretty much a year later. Trinity is over there, Impact Knockouts world champion. Mercedes probably would still be the New Japan Strong World Championship, women's world champion had she not gotten injured in Cali. But like some of y'all said, like this is a championship that has not been treated correctly, booked correctly. And then on top of that, it seems like every time an actor or talent is associated with it, it seems as if they're getting the short end of the stick. It seems like they're getting injured. Something is always happening to whoever is holding the women's tag team championships. And for that, I think that they should just kind of forsake it. They're not really even training any new women's tag teams, right?
Yeah,
Like they're like even when you look at NXT, there's like the NXT women's tag titles and the WWE women's tag titles got merged. So it's like the legacy of that title is now with this title. It's just like, so what's the point? But you know, we'll see where it goes. But we want to know where you guys stand. Are these women's tag team championships cursed? Let us know in the comments below. We're gonna move on to the next topic. So, have any of y'all seen the American Nightmare documentary on Peacock? Just they just released it.
I plan on getting
Yes,
to
no,
it this
maybe
probably this
so.
weekend once I have more time on my hands. Like I have it saved, like bookmarked on my Peacock account. Like I need to, get on it.
Right.
I heard it was pretty good. It it says a lot. It tells a
Yeah.
good story on like Cody's journey to where he is now. So I will definitely need to watch.
Mm. I gotta finish it. But one of the things that I heard that Triple H was saying was that the reason why Cody came to WWE is because he didn't want to be the champion of a secondary promotion. Now, obviously, Tony Khan clapped back. He had some things to say. But I want to know from y'all's perspective, is Hunter right? Is AEW the secondary promotion in pro wrestling?
absolutely. I mean, it's just the
Mm,
truth of what it is. I mean, WWE has a long year head start
mm,
of than AEW,
mm,
and the AEW fans who were hurt about it really need to just stop complaining about it.
mm,
If you ask me, it's not that big of a
mm.
deal anyway,
Nah,
so who cares?
Tony Khan has an
Who's
issue
next?
of
I need.
taking a lot of words personally. Like he has an issue.
Yes,
Ooh.
Even when words are not directed at him,
big.
he'll spin ways for him to be involved. The whole like again the CM Punk situation, whatever was going on backstage, somehow he wants to involve himself into it. I think that's just a Tony Khan issue.
Mm,
But in terms of the question of is AEW a secondary promotion, right now on paper it is. I know wrestling fans, especially AEW fans, don't want to admit it, but just be honest with ourselves. Again, what TJ said earlier, WWE has a head start. Even though right now the competition is great,
mm,
these wrestling promotions are getting more viewership as by the day. But it still doesn't change the fact that WWE still has a chokehold in sports entertainment in this country. And yes, AEW's clawing back on the numbers. It's still the viewership for WWE is still there, and it's still I think greater than AEW at the time being. It doesn't change the fact that in the future the roles could reverse. But I think right now
mm,
AEW is still young, still got a long ways to go. They're in the right direction with the talent that they have being on TBS and TNT. That's good. So if they just focus on developing their own brand and just kind of poach talent from WWE who probably aren't really satisfied of what they're doing, in due time it could happen. But right now, on paper, yes, secondary division.
Yeah. I agree. I think WWE is the flagship, and it'll be still the flagship for a long time.
Mm,
Um, I think as far as AEW goes, though, I feel like um, they're still learning, as a company, and I feel like the wrestling is always good. The in ring work is always good, and I think they just need to get better as far as like the storytelling and you know long term booking.
mm,
As far as that goes, I think they caught lightning in a bottle with the MJF Adam Cole situation. Um, and those vignettes have been great. More people are tuning in, especially like us younger people during those segments. So I think you know AEW is still growing, and they got a lot of they got a lot of work to do as far as the backstage culture and things of that nature. Um, but WWE, man, it's what we grew up on. It's gonna stay the flagship. There
here's
would there wouldn't be wrestling without WWE. So
Yeah.
at least in the United States.
mm, yeah, for sure. I have the perfect analogy. And I was thinking of this as y'all were explaining this. WWE is Michael Jordan.
Oh dear.
Oh, I know where this is going.
AEW,
It's LeBron James.
AEW is LeBron
Yeah.
James. And here's the reason why. When you look at the career of Michael Jordan, while you can argue if he's the best individual player of all time, you're looking at someone who essentially has a flawless resume. 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 6-0 every time he's been to the finals. Like spotless. Ends his career, well, into Chicago Bulls career on a game winner, game 6 in the 98 finals. Right? You can't write. And he's also the athlete that was able to take uh basketball from being a simple sport to being a
Mhm.
billion-dollar business. Sounds familiar?
Yeah.
WWE, flawless resume. The Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Triple H, that's 6. We're talking about WrestleMania after WrestleMania, attendance records in every venue, right? This is a flawless resume. We can debate the creative product all we want, but this is a flawless resume. But when you look at AEW, they're younger, they're a little bit fresher. They had a lot of hype when they came out, and so far, they've kind of met the hype. Similar to how Braun came out of high school and he met the hype head on. And it's hard for me to declare one to be secondary and the other one to be a primary because I compare WWE to what television was to media versus I compare AEW to what the internet is to media, right? Like television is television, the internet is the internet. But the internet needed television in order for it to kind of become what it has become. Now, the internet has been exposed to more people quicker because of its medium than television has. But nevertheless, it's been exposed to more people. And based on the next subject we're going to get into, you're going to understand why I say that. But I don't think it's a matter of primary or secondary because if we're being very, very honest, AEW is reaching a lot more people a lot quicker than WWE did when they first started. AEW has cleared a lot of
Mhm.
ground in less than in 4 years. And granted, they're standing on the shoulders of WWE, but it's hard for me to once again say that one is secondary to the other. I'll put it like this: WWE is getting the bigger bag. WWE is the known bully on the block, but I do think that in business, it's not just about what's big; it's about what's growing. And I just see more growth in AEW than I do in WWE right now. So, but that leads us to the next topic because this is actually berserk. Because All in London has officially, uh, I would say, eclipsed a 30-year-old attendance record held by WWE. I think the attendance record in Wembley Stadium was 79,000. They've eclipsed the SummerSlam 92 record. They have eclipsed the WrestleMania 3 record, which, by the way, Hogan versus Andre the Giant. And I either think that they have met and surpassed the WrestleMania 32 record, or they're about to pass it, or they're projected to pass it, which means that by the time All In comes around, AEW would have produced the biggest wrestling event of all time. If we're just basing it off of their gate. How do we feel about this? Does this change the standing of AEW because they have the largest gate of any pro wrestling event ever?
I think a lot of eyes are going to be on the product. Because even without the card being announced, it was already 70, close to 79,000 already. So
Mm,
I think the event is going to be big for them. It's going to be big time. It's going to bring more eyes to the product. It's going to bring more eyes to the characters, um, especially since there are former WWE guys in there as well. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be big time. It's going to be a big event. Um, I think it's going to be an enjoyable event as far as like the card as
mm,
it stands now and the storylines that are going on. I think that the card is very storyline driven, and they're going in the right direction with that build, with building it in a short period of time. It's going to be interesting how they book All Out, since it's in the same week.
mm.
Um, so we'll see what happens with that as well.
Yeah, I agree with Xavier. It's going to do great for them, and I think also too this could also lead to them like having future pay per views in like other different countries. Like who knows, maybe in Japan, maybe like uh, Canada again,
Mm.
anywhere else, you know. But it's still a great thing that they did because like that's a record that's been held since the early '90s by WWE,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
is crazy to say, especially in this day and age. And it goes to show you that their popularity is on the rise, like very quickly too, in the world
Mm.
of pro wrestling, and also with I would say a little bit of entertainment,
Yeah,
maybe.
for sure. Again, a 30-year-old record that has been just sitting there collecting dust by WWE since the early. And for AEW to do that, it's very impressive. You know, if like people don't understand the scale of selling out like the Wembley Stadium, if people who don't know how significant that is, especially in the UK, like that is like the stadium where they host soccer finals for the FA Cup and Leagues Cup. That stadium hosts historic grounds. You know, to sell that stadium is very big, and and for AEW that's a big plus. You know, more eyes to the sport generates more revenue for them, and also it kind of forces WWE to be on their p's and q's. You know, make sure they don't get caught slacking with their pants hanging down. And I don't want to. It's like I don't want to
Mm.
bring it back to Money in the Bank, but with AEW selling out Wembley, could fingers crossed 2025 a WrestleMania in Wembley could be on the cards. Not the O2. That's the O2 is like a big arena and all that. That's something new. They generated its own history. Wembley, a WrestleMania at Wembley
Mm.
would be big. And if I want this card, I want this card to do well for AEW, so it could, you know, do a little wrestling war on who has the bigger foot no, the foot bigger foothold on you know the UK audience, because everyone knows how massive the wrestling audience in Europe, in just not just the UK, in Europe in general is. I think they're more crazier about wrestling than us Americans are. So I'm really
Mm.
fingers crossed
Most
that
definitely.
this card goes well.
Now I don't know who WWE got to speak to in because apparently Minnesota has been rumored for WrestleMania 42. They need to speak to the Vikings, the Timberwolves, the Twins, and say sorry, we can't do it because doing Minnesota when the company you've been little broing for the past 4 years is doing Wembley
And your
is
star
actually
and your
nuts.
star wrestler is
Is
actually trying to,
actually
convince them. It's like, hey, come on, Vince, Hunter, come on.
yeah, yeah. We need to listen. If your boy John Cena hops off a movie set to tell cats, hey, you need to do a WrestleMania in London, then you need to do a WrestleMania in London.
Yep.
Here's what I will say, and this is one of the reasons why I was saying I can't rank it as a primary or a secondary argument right now when it comes to AEW versus WWE. AEW breaking that record is I feel like is going to slightly damage the WWE brand. And here's the reason why. The reason why WWE has fought tooth and nail to take certain people out of the streaming conversation, to take certain people out of the television rights conversation, is because part of WWE's power is in their brand name. When you think of wrestling, you think of WWE. Why? Because of WrestleMania, because of Stone Cold, The Rock. Everything that is big that is wrestling related is affiliated with WWE until now. It's like you have the biggest stars and you have the biggest events. But now you can't say you've had the biggest event. AEW has had the biggest event. And that plays a very big role and a very big factor when it comes to international television media rights, when it comes to streaming rights, when it comes to events and booking. Because guess what? If London wants AEW, that means that Australia wants AEW. That means that Japan wants AEW. That means that all these different countries who all have their own big stadiums are going to want AEW. And so now, when you have all these countries that WWE is just now starting to touch and go to that want AEW, does WWE become the go to for wrestling anymore? I don't know. Maybe, perhaps, right? It's still WWE, but these are the things that make you wonder like, oh, well, there's this other wrestling company, and the guy who's the CEO there, he hasn't been accused of
Yet we
sexual
don't know.
harassment. So
We
maybe
don't know
we
what he
need
does
to
behind. We don't know
get him in our country.
exactly.
We don't know. We don't know. We don't know what that man does behind closed doors. All I'm saying is that there's no allegations. You know, he's been moving pretty ethically. He has a clean record compared to Vince, right? So these are the things that kind of make you wonder. But to eclipse the WrestleMania 32, and I remember, oh my God, WrestleMania 32. The biggest sports entertainment. This is everything's bigger in
Yeah,
Texas, and we're at the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. Like it was nuts. And the fact that
cool.
Tony was just like, oh, all right, cool. I got you on that. And he really just
Watch out,
like
top that.
right. He really just sunned them. Like, I'm gonna be very, very eager to see how WWE responds because if they do Wembley, if they do Wembley, and you're gonna turn around and do US Bank Stadium,
Yeah.
And it's in the winter too. It's
and
crazy.
it's a
Yeah,
If
exactly.
it's like,
if
bro,
this
you
year
better
has
take your
something to
cold white
say,
Minnesota
that I
head
think
ass.
there should be at least one or two major shows on international waters. If Backlash, Money in the Bank, the
Absolutely.
next AEW pay per view in Wembley, and Crown Jewel has something to say, that means it's like, hey,
Mm,
there's untapped that's untapped market that we could take advantage of. If Backlash, if we saw the
mm.
crowd in Backlash,
And
they were ruckus from Friday Night SmackDown to the actual pay per view. Money in the Bank, same thing. Friday night pay per view, they were on it. They were lit. They were cooking. They were bringing emotion.
They were
The
cooking.
reactions was there. So I think again, this Wembley news should light a light a spark in the headquarters up in Connecticut to say, hey, we can't be caught slacking out here in these streets, man. We started this. We own this.
I
But
think when it
what?
I think when it
Keep going.
comes to UK markets, though, I think AEW is gonna have a stranglehold on it, just because
Yeah,
Tony Khan has the relations with them because he does own Fulham. He does
Very true.
the soccer team, so I think that eventually, when it comes down to it, Tony Khan's gonna
hey,
be like, "Yeah, we can go to the UK whenever we want," and
as a
WWE is
Chelsea
gonna
fan, I
wait
don't
20,
recognize
30
that
years
club
to
as a
get it.
proper club anyway.
so,
Does the-
so that
I'm a I'm a wrap this up, but this is just I want to reiterate that all this competition is good for pro wrestling, and I just saw a tweet. I'm gonna read off. It says with AEW Dynamite ranking number one on cable on Wednesday. This is the third week where you had WWE Raw being number one on cable on Monday, WWE NXT being number one on Tuesday, and AEW Dynamite being number one on Wednesday. So essentially, almost all of the major cable based wrestling shows are number one. And this is the reason why competition in wrestling is important. It elevates the product,
sure.
elevates the ecosystem, and everybody eats. So but there's that. But we want to know how y'all feel about AEW breaking the all-time attendance record for a wrestling event. And this is crazy. This is huge. But that concludes our show for today. Thank y'all so much for pulling up. This is the first ever time we've had our community take over the full show. Last week it was just one segment, but now this time it's a whole show, and we really really appreciate um you guys pulling up. But we'll see y'all next week. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see
See ya.
y'all soon. Boop, 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 boop.